The flow is as follows. We're going to do a breathwork exercise, a set of breathwork exercises to begin with, followed by a wisdom talk, a storytelling. We're going to do some meditation, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. Again, my name is Jay Chodagam. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm a meditation practitioner for over 20 years. I lived as a monk for 18 years. I've been teaching for about 15, and I've only started doing this Insight Timer live since about December of last year. We have been doing live sessions since the beginning of the pandemic. We haven't missed a single week. So there's a beautiful community. I call that my soul tribe, and you guys have been huddling. We've been holding hands. We've been gathering pretty much every week, which has been a great support system. While so much around has been so uncertain, the one thing that we can always count on is this Wednesday night here, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. It's 6:30 a.m. in India and 12 noon in Sydney down under. So folks, to begin with, I want you to please put your palms on your abdomen, on your belly, whether you're lying down, whether you're standing up, whether you're sitting, that's completely up to you. There's no restrictions and regulations on how you choose to show up today, but I want you to just feel the breath as your belly expands and collapses. Just a natural rhythm of breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Allowing the breath to flow nice and deep into the belly, as that is what is expanding and collapsing, not your chest. There's a deep connection between the body and the mind. As we know, as we can slow down the mind, we automatically begin to slow down the body, and vice versa. You slow the body and the mind follows. Now also, I want you to realize there's a deep connection between breath and the mind as well. As you regulate and slow down your breathing, your mind will follow. Now, while the mind is so hard to control, as we all know, the one thing that we do have in our control is our diaphragm, our ability to regulate the inhale and exhale consciously. So by leveraging this thing that's within our control, we are able to gradually reduce the speed of thoughts in our mind. We're able to regulate the heartbeat and bring down the blood pressure just by focusing on how we breathe. Now I want you to please extend your inhale through the nostrils for a count of 5. And exhale through the mouth for a count of 5. Following the rise and collapse with your arms on your belly. Feeling the palms expand and collapse with this inhale and exhale. And as you're continuing this gradual, natural 5 in and 5 out, I want you to consider extending. Let's just move this to 5 in, and let's expand the exhale through the mouth for 10 out. Inhale for 5 and exhale for 10. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, let's move into the next step, which is 5 in, hold for 5, exhale for 5, and hold for 5. Think of it as a box. In through the nostrils, hold, exhale through the mouth, and hold. Inhale through the nostrils for 5. Hold for 5. Exhale for 5. And hold for 5. Inhale for 5. Hold for 5. Exhale. And hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. And hold. Now let's go back to just the rhythmic breathing, 5 in and 5 out. And as you're doing this, I want you to please pay attention to some point about 1 inch outside your body. Pick a point of your choice, allowing the breathing to continue naturally and rhythmically, even breath. And focus on a point 1 inch outside your body. Now I want you to please breathe in for a count of 5, and this time I'm going to extend the length of time which you're going to hold with an empty pair of lungs. So exhale completely, and at the bottom of the lungs completely empty. I want you to hold till I tell you, or as long as you feel comfortable. If you're not able to hold as long as I tell you, that's fine, but hold as best as you can. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. And at the top of your lungs, I want you to hold till I tell you, for shorter count, but hold. One, and exhale. A full deep breath in. And at the exhale at the bottom of the lungs, I want you to hold again, either as long as I tell you or as long as you possibly can, while feeling still comfortable. Ten, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And then hold. Hold, shorter count, but hold. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Full deep breath. Inhale. And at the bottom of your lungs, as you exhale, I want you to hold again. Hold as best as you can, as long as I tell you, or till you feel comfortable. Hold. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. A full breath in and hold. Hold with your lungs full. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Now go back to your rhythmic breathing, 5 in and 5 out, in through the nostrils, out through the mouth. Allow that to happen naturally and evenly. And this time, I want you to focus on a point about a meter, that's about 3 feet outside of your body. Just fix while your eyes are closed. Find a point and set your focus on something 3 feet or 1 meter outside your body. Allowing the breathing to continue as you're doing this, not holding your breath at any time. Now, let's speed up our breath. We're going to do an exercise where we're going to breathe in for 2, 1, 2, exhale 1, 2. Okay, let's together. Inhale. Inhalation through the nostrils, exhalation through the mouth. Continue. And relax. Just continue the regular breathing. Notice that your heartbeat may have increased as a result of this last exercise. You might have begun to feel a little bit warmer in your body. Notice the sensations changed. Maybe you've broken a sweat even. Loving the natural rhythm of breath to return. Breathing in through the nostrils and exhaling from the mouth. Back to even breathing. And notice how you have changed, how you feel differently just in this last few minutes of regulating your breath, elongating your breath, and holding. Just these simple exercise of manipulation, referred to as pranayama, the ancient wisdom of understanding the breath of life. Notice what it has done to change how you feel in your body, in your mind, and in your entire being. Okay, I invite you to open your eyes if you had them closed as we move on to the second phase of this workshop. We're here to talk about emotional resilience to overcome adversity. How do you build resilience? How do you build your ability to be able to withstand that which life throws at you? If you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Jay Chodagam. I'm a meditation teacher here in the San Francisco Bay Area. When we're here to talk about emotional resilience at a time of one of the greatest times of uncertainty that we know in our lifetimes. The last 1 year has been anything but been easy. It's been such a complete breakdown of things that we find as what we call as normal, some things that we've been used to, our rhythm of life, our ability to congregate, our ability to meet, our ability to hold, hug each other. All of that has been completely been thrown on the wayside, and we've had to adopt to something that is called the new normal. And we don't know how much longer we're going to be living in this state of complete change. But there's one thing that I'll tell you, that perception of adversity, perception of something being thrown off normal, what we consider to be as a challenge, as an adversity, is something that is completely conceived by the mind. So first of all, I want to start off this conversation with a true story. The year was 1914. The day was December 10th. The scene was set in West Orange, New Jersey. A massive fire broke out at 5:30 p.m. 10 of the buildings of the famous inventor, Thomas Alva Edison, were ablaze. And as the fire broke out, the entire county had sent out its fire trucks to fight this big blaze. The city had never seen anything like this. And so there was all of the staff and Thomas Alva Edison watching as it was getting dark. It was a winter night. It's getting dark early, and they were seeing this massive fire engulfing and breaking down, burning. It's completely destroying everything that these people had been working for. All of the prototypes, all of the innovation, the research, the documentation, everything was set ablaze. And Thomas Alva Edison walks over to his son Charles and tells him to go call his mother. He says, Charles, go call your mother, because she has never seen, we will never possibly see a fire like this in our lifetimes. Charles is a little bit startled. He's looking at his father relaxed, and he's asking his mother to come and join this watch party. He says, what's the matter? He says, no, go call her. We have to witness this as a family, because this is something that is going to be a moment. It's a moment when our lives would have changed. It is that pivotal point. So the entire family sits there and watches as the blaze goes uncontrolled for burning down all of these 10 buildings. And then Thomas Edison retires early because there's a lot of chaos, and that's taken a big toll on his emotional ability, and he goes and retires. And the next morning, without missing a beat, he comes back to evaluate the scene. He doesn't fire a single member of his team. His entire staff, his entire research community, all of the workers. And he makes an assessment with his team, goes on to make a request. The evaluation of the damage was $1 million in 1914, which is more or less about $25 million in today's currency. The insurance companies pay 1/3 of the total loss. Doesn't matter. Thomas Edison decides to rebuild his company from the ground up without furloughing anybody. So he goes on to make a request to his friend Henry Ford. He takes out a loan. He goes ahead and builds his business. Within 1 year, they make $10 million in that currency profit. And he goes on in the record books as somebody who's been one of the most resilient, one of the greatest champions of fighting adversity. Now, the one thing that sat in Thomas Edison's mind as he witnessed one of the greatest disasters that he witnessed in his lifetime was that he knew that within his mind and within the capacity of his team lied a power that was greater than that adversity that had come to challenge them. That fire that burned down everything that they stood up for. He knew that the power of what lied within the hearts and soul of his team was able to resurrect, and not only resurrect, but far outshine. He'd overcome, beat any of those targets they had set for themselves. So folks, as we look at adversity, you have to ask yourself, why is it that within one household, when you have a broken household, that you have certain people who flourish and certain people who turn out as drug addicts? How within one household, whether you have a parent who's got a mental problem, and the child goes on to complain and kick and scream and become somebody who is a burden on society, and somebody else becomes a genius. How within a scenario like a Holocaust, within a jail cell, within something that is unbearable odds, somebody ends up thriving and somebody ends up perishing. What are these things that within a set of circumstances, what are some of the qualities that end up having somebody become a shining star and somebody being somebody who's hopeless? Somebody falls by the wayside, somebody who kicks and screams. So the one word that lies as a common denominator in all of these scenarios is the word resilience. Resilience is our ability to be able to withstand the adversity, and ability to bounce back, ability to be able to bend, our malleability, if you will, and be able to spring back up even farther, higher, stronger than before that pressure, that adversity, whatever is the circumstance that was put upon us. And so now I want to talk about 3 things that help, that have been found by research, by scientists, as being predominant factors in one's ability to bounce back, in one's ability to be resilient in the moments of adversity. The first one of those is our ability to be able to embrace the reality of what we are going through. A lot of people, a lot of deniers out there will not be able to first to understand the reality, what they're in, let alone be able to respond from a place of having a calculated way to deal with it. And I want to go back to the Vietnam War, one of the greatest tragedies in our living history. Millions of lives taken. And in that war, there was a particularly adverse situation where the soldiers were taken as prisoners of war and put through extreme brutality. Lots of torture, lots of maiming, lots of beheading, and so on and so forth. But I want to talk about specifically a group of prisoners of war that were tortured and how some people survived when some people perished. And not perished because they were killed, but perished because of their own inability to withstand the amount of torture they were going through. They just gave up hope. And so when there was interviews done on these people who survived, who came away alive from this prisoner of war camps, they were asked, what is it that made them deal and be able to live through this adversity? And one of the consistent responses that they got was those people, they had rose-colored lenses. They were too hopeful. They would keep saying that, we were prisoners of war, but by Thanksgiving, we'll be released from the camp. By Christmas, we'll be out of here. By July 4th, we'll be released from here. And when that camp, when that exiling, when that torture, when that confinement extended beyond what they perceived as their target or where their hopeful intention to be released from the camp was, they became very disillusioned. It broke their heart. It broke their determination, and they ultimately succumbed to their own mental strength. They died because they gave up hope. So folks, it is important that as we are going through whatever is that we're going through in this pandemic, and as it's coming back to hit us in second wave and third wave, and relentless, and we don't know how much longer this is going to continue, there are certain grave ground realities that we have to embrace, we have to accept, and say that we're in the midst of this and we need to do certain things, we need to take precautions both for us and our loved ones to be able to come out of this unscathed, to come out of this with a memory that we have survived this, come back to tell the story. So that's number 1. Number 2 is your ability to reinvent yourself. There's an uncanny knack amongst people who are Holocaust survivors, who are adversity survivors, who are survivors of failure, that life keeps trying to put you down. Opportunities do not seem to keep coming to you the way you want it. But the success stories are the ones of people who are able to look and look at the circumstances, understand it, examine it, and be able to reinvent themselves, to rewrite the story in a way that until they thrive and they become successful. A great example is Jack Ma. The story of Jack Ma is something that I can never ever forget. When I talk about resilience, that's the first person that comes to mind. Failed through elementary school, failed through middle school, barely made it out of high school, tried to apply to colleges, 10 times rejected by Harvard, became an English teacher, taught English for 4 years, came to America, tried to get a job at a KFC, rejected, tried to apply for a job, rejected and rejected and rejected, even to get a bare minimum job. There were times in which 27 people out of 28 people standing in line for a job would get it, and Jack Ma was rejected. And then when he went on to become a serial entrepreneur, when he tried to start companies, the first 2 companies, massive flops. Through the dot-com, through the 2000, through that big wave where everybody was funded, he struggled. And yet, he kept persisting. He kept reinventing. He kept looking at what is his core strengths, his core competency. Kept finding ways to find new ways to attack the issue. And then he floated this company, which when it went IPO, became the largest IPO in history. $150 billion at IPO, made him the second richest man overnight in China. And that's the story of Alibaba. And no one can talk about resilience as Jack Ma. The third thing that resilience teaches us, or people who live through adversity to come back to tell the story, is ability to see meaning in those hard times. To see a purpose that life is trying to teach you. There's something that is happening. There's a reason why I'm going through this. And look at the bigger arc of your story and see, what is life trying to teach me here? What is the lesson that I need to learn? And when you can take that lesson, when you can step back and when you can perceive that and put that into the bigger narrative, you come out stronger. You come out thriving. If you heard the story of a book written by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, in which he talks about it. He talks about the great brutality when they were sitting in the concentration camp in the Holocaust in Auschwitz. How looking at the daily torture, people being put through this brutality. So if you didn't die of torture, you died of starvation. If you didn't die of starvation, you died of looking at the people suffering around you. And he says, in that moment when I was seeing people dying just out of just complete mental breakdown, he was saying that he was focusing on one thing. That as he was going through his adversity, he was focusing on looking at what will come out of it as he traverses this, comes out alive, and he saw himself sitting in his cell, in his concentration camp. He envisioned himself teaching about this experience. Sit with that for a moment here. So you're sitting there in the concentration camp, utmost brutality being inflicted upon everybody around you, including you. And he had the vision to be able to talk about it on the other side, to be able to teach about what he had learned, and saw that what he was going through was going to be a tremendous lesson, which becomes one of the greatest books ever published. So folks, as we're traversing through this adversity, ask yourself, what is life trying to teach us? And I'll tell you about myself personally. There's been tremendous gifts, there's tremendous silver linings. I have felt that the need for me that the world's one message was, Jay, you need to slow down. I was traveling like crazy before the pandemics, doing, I thought, very noble work, incredibly exciting, traveling. I was into 23 countries in 2019, just in 1 year alone, 61 countries in all. I loved my routine of teaching in different continents, different seasons of the year. I loved my ability to be exposing people to different cultures while we're trying to explore our own inner spirituality. But Mother Nature had the lesson for me. It said, that's enough. You need to slow down. You need to be home. And folks, I tell you, the reinventing that has happened could not be more joyous. I've spent more time with my niece and nephew, my 6-year-old twins, my sister's kids, than I have spent in the entire 6 years. In fact, it's interesting that they pointed out, it was their birthday a few months ago, and they pointed out to me and says, Uncle Jay, we haven't seen you in any one of our previous birthdays. And it actually brought a tear to my eyes. It's like, these kids at 6, they're able to remember and say, okay, this guy's uncle was, of course I come and visit them, but I was never there for the last few years. Now, they don't remember that I was there for the first and second year. They were too small to remember, but they were right. 3, 4, and 5 had missed. And so this invaluable gift of being able to spend time with our loved ones. I mean, I go and teach the entire world. I go teach kids. I do summer camps for kids all different places. And here are my own niece and nephew. What a gift to be able to share my values, being able to spend quality time, and not through talking and lecturing, but actually being a living example with them and learning from them as well as we go and build this beautiful relationship. And then the other thing with my mother, I haven't missed making a phone call. Every single day, my mother and I talk. And it's just been a beautiful thing that, she's been quarantined in India. I've been, locked down here in America. But there's been a great opportunity for us to build this thing, this beautiful relationship, exchanging whatever little bit we can. I mean, we'll have the most mundane things and the most incredible things to share sometimes. The point is taking the time to give to those people that matter the most. And then the second thing is finding meaning in hobbies, reinventing myself. Some of you know that I built a camper van. I had no idea, no plan. It wasn't on my horizon. But with my intention for exploration, my adventure attitude, my willingness, my love for travel, I said, like, how could I channel this energy? How could I channel this enthusiasm? And as I'm having a conversation with a childhood friend of mine, and we said, he said, hey, why don't you build yourself a camper van? I'm like, what? But then I went home that night and researched it, and I said, oh my God, what an incredible thing. I mean, something that this is the first thing I've built with my own hands. I've never built anything like this. Took a 15-seater passenger van, one of those limousine vans that you see at the airport, completely tore it down to its bare skeleton, built it completely from the ground up with a full bathroom, queen-size bed, a rooftop deck, solar panels, hot water, cold water, air conditioning, heating, beautiful wooden interiors, just like a log cabin. I mean, Wells, I had nothing else to do. This is a necessity. It's like confinement is the mother of all invention. The 2019 or 2020 was one of those years. Nowhere else to go. So, might as well put all of that time and talent to good use. Well, I had to pick up a lot of talents. It's not something that I came into this job with. But a good friend of mine, he helped out, and we sit all nights and we would watch YouTube videos and get up in the morning and start building. And then this beautiful gift of being able to communicate, to create this worldwide soul tribe regularly without missing a single week since the pandemic began in 2020 March. Recording each one of them, putting on YouTube after the fact. There's over 76 episodes that are out there on my channel for you to go back and listen to. All of these folks, I tell you, tremendous gifts if you learn to look at the reality. So I'm recapping those 3 things. Embracing, accepting, seeing things for how they really are. Right? Not my wishful thinking. Second, being able to reinvent yourself. Finding ways and saying, how can I put my energies, my talents, my emotions, my gifts, given the confinements of the circumstance that I find myself in. And third, looking at what is the arc of this in my life story. What is this situation telling me? What is it teaching me? What is it that I need to learn that I can get to that next step? So folks, those have been a beautiful set of lessons. And I'm very grateful. If anything, there's this one amazing community, the Soul Tribe, you guys, in different parts of the world. We've been holding hands. We've been supporting each other. We've been learning. We've been growing. We've been sharing. We've been telling our stories and, tears that are in joy, happiness and sorrow. We've been in it together. What a gift. What a beautiful gift. So with that, I'd like to transition to the next phase of this conversation, which is an internal dialogue. Let's turn slowly within. I'm going to start with the gentle, soft music in the background. And I want you to please take in some deep, comfortable breaths as you move from the head space into the heart space. If you choose to, you can go ahead and close your eyes. Or if you feel more comfortable, just downshift your gaze. The point being, let your eyes not be distracted by anything else. And let's just focus on our inner world. Allowing the nice flow of air in and out of your body. You have all the time in the world for yourself. There's nowhere to go, nothing else to do, but be with yourself, because this is your appointment with yourself. This is your time, this is your gift for yourself. This is a time for you to be completely relaxed. It's a time for you to remind yourself of the peace that you are. Visualize the stillness of the soul, you the being, the eternal traveler that animates this body. A being of unflinching stillness in a pool of unwavering calmness. Notice as you're paying attention to your being, your calmness expands outwards, filling the space around you. Your entire body is encompassed by this radiant energy, this pool of calmness. Soon I find myself sitting in this pool of calmness, and I transcend and I free myself from any perceived distractions or feelings of being not worthy, being too small, not fit enough, not good enough. And I awaken to my consciousness of innate knowingness. A knowingness that I am enough. I am worthy. I am the master of my destiny. And nobody else, no one and nothing out there controls who I become. And I get into this state of being beyond belief, which means going prior to any of my inherited, acquired belief systems. As I become aware of my truth, It challenges and dissolves any of the beliefs and perceptions that I have acquired. And those belief systems and perceptions are the basis of your adversity. Your perception that something is not going right. Something seems unfair in my life. Something that feels beyond my control. And in this state of innate knowingness, I, the eternal being, know that there is nothing to lose, because I realize the truth that nothing and no one is ever mine. And in the state of innate knowingness, I know, not just believe, but I truly know that I already have what I seek. Because I realize the truth that while I am motivated to find peace, love, and happiness in all that I do, I know that I'm already my own inner source of such states of being. I am peace. I am love. I am joy. No drop of love, peace, or joy from out there can complete me. In this state of innate knowingness, I know that everything around is happening, emerging, evolving, progressing, and regressing exactly as it should. I have realized the flux of continuous change in the world around me is but the backdrop of my life. I have realized and know the truth that life is a game and that I'm here to play. I play my role as an actor on this stage, this theater, this drama that we call life. And sometimes my playfulness includes helping others who are still suffering because they have not yet realized that nothing is mine or have not realized that that which they seek from the game of life is actually already in them. From this state of inner knowingness, I'm able to see that Nothing bad ever happens. Whatever happens just happens. And what is adversity but the belief and perception that something has been lost because something bad has just happened? I have awoken. I have realized that whatever happens just happens. And in my state of sleepwalking, in my state of being engulfed by perception, I assign the labels of good or bad to the scenes that are unfolding in my life. And when I drop those labels, I begin to see things with clarity. And in that clarity, I am free. I am powerful. And I am awake. Now, I want you to think of any situation that you have deemed and you have labeled as adverse in your life. And from the state of calmness and clarity, I want you to look at this situation and ask, what has life brought the situation to teach me? What is my lesson that I need to learn from here? Just whenever you're ready, I invite you to gently open your eyes, and at your own pace, I want you to come back into this physical dimension, into this virtual community, and go ahead and type in the chat, what is the lesson? What is that you've awoken to at this moment? So I'm beginning to see some responses. Everything is possible, Lucas says. Feeling so great for being here. Glad for this awesome community. Yes, Lucas. And also, I invite you, thank you for prompting this. I also invite you to please join my community. I've got a circle on this app. It's called Meditate with Jay. I invite you to please join that. I also see some donations coming in. Thank you very much for those of you making donations. Those mean a lot. Those help me to continue to offering my services. I have a whole beautiful crew of members who help me to do my work, my sound engineer, my video editor, my web designer, my marketing person. So your dollars, your rupees, your shillings, your pounds, whatever it is that you choose to donate in, go a long way in supporting and helping me to continue doing my services, offering it, rendering it free of charge across the world. So let's see some more comments here. I need to be more careful with the company I choose to keep. Yes, Ken. Mark says, Mark from Durham, North Carolina here. Doris says, adversity brings opportunity to your doorsteps. Absolutely. If you're willing to see it, if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to see the big picture. Sarah says, I like what you said about the external love and not being able to complete your own love. Yes, indeed. You said it much better. Yes, not an extra drop of love from out there can complete me. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your sweet words. V says, reminder to make the most of this time and how to make it more valuable. This time is being a gift. Yes, indeed. This is a gift. If you're willing to take the lessons, if you're willing to see what are the opportunities that lie in this adversity, see ways in which you can take care of, put yourself up front and center. This quarantine, this lockdown, one of the big gifts has been like, there's nowhere else to go. So suddenly we've got all of this precious time that, that thing that we've always wished for. We always wanted more hours in the day. We always wish that we had more time for ourselves. Guess what? Boom, your wish has come true. And life has been come down to a crawl, to a grinding halt where all of that time you could focus on yourself. Now the question is, have you invested in yourself? Have you invested in your mental well-being, in your physical health? Have you invested in your diet? Have you invested in your entire structure, your schedule and sleeping better, etc., etc.? So if you haven't, I tell you, we still have an opportunity to do so. So please look for the gifts in this adversity. Are we living? Are we dreaming? Maybe. Great question. It's a question for each one of us to ask ourselves. There is a collective sleep. There is also an individual sleep, right? So we've all bought into these belief systems. We've all bought into things that are considered to be the normal, that are being proselytized by society, whether it's through religion, whether it's through community, whether it's through capitalism, whether it's through communism, depending on which part of the world you live in. Each one of these belief systems is a sleep that we're sleeping in. It is one other layer that has been laid on top of many other layers of my own belief systems, which is many forms of sleep that I find myself in. So indeed, there's an individual waking up and there's also a collective waking up that we need to do. And that comes from examining and shedding the layers, questioning reality, questioning every aspect of what we perceive as truth. Things that we have been brought up in, our culture, our conditioning because of the race, because of the gender, because of the politics, because of the land, because of all of the education systems. All of that is a form of belief systems, and every belief system puts you to a level of sleep, which is in essence a way of disconnecting from your reality of what is your ultimate truth. So indeed, there's work to be done there. And no better time than to be in our solitary, silent quietness of our still mind. And slowly shedding these layers, these perceptions, these cloth, these rags, if you will, that have completely stifled our own creativity, our own being of love, our brilliant being, that radiance that we are. So yes, folks, there is work to be done individually and in the collective. And all of that is waking up. So let's see some more responses. Mom is saying from India, accepting the present situation and doing what makes me happy. Absolutely. Congratulations on that realization. V says gratitude. Helen says that what we search for is right inside. Joy, love, and peace. Indeed. High five. Wonderful realization. Gurpreet says, Jay, is it okay to breathe out through the nostrils in pranayama? I have a hard time exhaling through the mouth. Absolutely, that's fine. Inhaling through the nostrils is important. Exhaling can happen either through the nostrils or through the mouth, and that's completely, both of them are completely fine. Exhaling is a choice, but inhaling, I told you, I've mentioned this several times, there's a deep role in inhaling. There is the Ida and Pingala. These are the two nadis, that the feminine, the masculine qualities. And as you're breathing in through the nostrils, what you're doing is you're harmonizing those things. You're not breathing through the nostrils is cleansing, because the nostrils have that filters, have those tendrils that are able to cut out the dust It is warming your breath as you're breathing in through the nostrils. And it is also moistening the air. So there's a lot of benefits of breathing in through the nostrils. So thank you for asking the question. Yes, indeed, that you can breathe out through either the mouth or the nostrils. So you have another question, Gurpreet. What do you think would be the meaning behind what each family is going through in India? It seems like every family has lost at least someone, and that too in an unreal constraint like lack of hospital beds or oxygen. I tell you, there are so many lessons. We've been so off-centered. Now where do I even begin to respond to your question? Like, as a human race, for generations, we have completely abused Mother Nature. And if there was one thing that Mother Nature's come to say, is like, you guys cannot afford to be doing this. I keep giving to you, I keep sustaining you, I take care of all of your needs free, without any conditions. As much as you want, you could take. But look at the way you've abused that freedom, abused my generosity. And so Mother Nature said, you know what? Time out, kids. You need to be put into the doghouse. You need to stop running around and burning all of that fuel, burning yourself, both fuels and inner fuel and the outer fuels, and decimating the environment and decimating your family values, decimating your structure of what you consider to be civil society. How can I even unravel? I mean, I can do an entire week-long course on this, about the lessons that we need to learn. And I've actually got a number of different sessions, so please go back and please revisit the lessons from Corona to us. This was one of the titles of something that I spoke last year as part of the pandemic series. So please go back and revisit that. There's many lessons for us to learn individually, both just how I treat myself, and I've taken away all of that responsibility for nurturing myself, nourishing myself, eating well, taking interest in taking time to sleep well. What I read, what I consume, how I spend time next level, how I interact with others, my loved ones, making time for them, making that a priority. And then my investment and my contribution to society. And then the world is enlarged, and then the planet, Mother Nature, as an even bigger circle from myself. So many lessons. And individually, we all have to learn it. And my lesson is for me. This is what I invested in, how I chose to reinvent myself in my quarantine. I'm not saying that go ahead and apply the same things for you. It may not be applicable for you. So what I've taken away as stories, what I've taken away as lessons, may be different for you. But it is all something that we need to make our own individual effort to take those lessons, to glean, to look at the arc of what is it for me to learn here, as I am able to come out of the other side of it and be able to be the messenger, being able to be that teacher, so that this will not continue to happen over and over again. JP saying, sending love to all who are hurting right now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Please keep, especially the South Asian, the Indian subcontinent right now is hurting badly, because this wave has come in a way that has attacked them. It has come to them. They didn't know where it came from. It's caught them off guard, and they're not able to respond to it. Like it was said already as one of the comments, the resources are struggling. The systems are stretched, and people are seeing their loved ones die helplessly. Imagine the anguish. So folks, so please keep these people in your prayers. Send them blessings, send them your light, radiate. May they find their hope, may they find peace, may they find some sense of calm in the midst of this relentless adversity. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, thank you for your attention. I'd love for you to recommend any topics. I don't have any topic for next week, so please join my circle. A couple of other quick announcements. I have just recently started mentoring on this app. So if you go to the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll see my name, my image. And if you click on that little logo there, it'll open up a screen where you can go sign up for mentoring one-on-one sessions with me. So I have a single one session, 3 package, and a package of 6 sessions with me. And I recommend that you consider taking after, but possibly you want to do a little one-on-one session, single one-off thing where we get to know each other. And then any sort of serious transformation takes work, and it requires you to take time and make a commitment. I also want to mention that I announced my first retreat that I'm doing since the pandemic began. It's almost 15 months of hiatus. Some of you know me that I used to do retreats very often throughout the world at different seasons, at different times of the year, and so on. And so now the first retreat is going to happen here in Marin County, California, just approximately to where I am. And half of it is already sold out. Yesterday I just opened up the registrations, and within an hour half of them were sold out. So it's going to sell out pretty soon. So if you want to find details about it, it's happening the weekend of July 4th. It's on my website, Find Within. That's FINDWITH.IN. And you go to the retreat page and you'll find all the details about it, and you can go sign up for it if you choose to be here. And we're going to have lots of open door activities, meditation, Redwood Grove gatherings. We'd have open door meals. Just an amazing vegan chef has been confirmed for this event. We do have plenty of rooms, but we are making it just with plenty of social distancing, 2 beds per room. So I'm taking all of the precautions I possibly can. And again, I just want to mention this is only going to be for people. There's a requirement by that retreat center, the Banyan Grove Retreat Center, that only vaccinated individuals will be allowed to attend and to be able to stay overnight, to be able to participate or stay overnight, both. So you need to be vaccinated to be able to attend any part of the retreat. So just note that, please note that that's a requirement. That's one of the things that is needed, both to keep people safe and also to meet the requirements of the venue. And also I suggest that you please sign up for my newsletter, for my ongoing classes, sessions, my mentoring program, my retreats, all these amazing things that are an opportunity during the pandemic as we are slowly beginning to ease out of this lockdown. All of the different offerings that I'm able to bring. I usually send out a weekly newsletter. Again, that's something you can subscribe at the bottom of my webpage. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining me here. Thank you for the lively conversation, the questions, the comments, and everything. Go out and shine your light. Be strong, be safe, and be well.